We're talking about success this month. And today specifically I'm going to talk about transforming yourself for success. Thomas Edison once said that if we did all the things that we're capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. And this month, I want all of us to be astounded. Don't you love that feeling when you're just like astounded by what you're capable of, by who you are, by what can happen? That power is right here. Closer than hands and feet and breath and heart. It's right here. That power that we can tap into. It's like that ancient seed that was found in an archaeological dig. It looked like it was dead. It was thousands of years old. It was dry. But these archaeologists planted it. They watered it and they nurtured it with sunlight. And the strangest thing happened. It started to grow. It took root and it sprouted. Lying dormant in the seed for a millennia was this power of life itself ready to spring forth into manifestation. And that is exactly like what's inside of us. Given the right environment, just waiting to spring forth into full bloom blossom. So our focus this month is cultivating this power in you. And we've labeled this month the month of success, that you define it, that you define what success is for you. Because that's what matters personally for you, is what does that mean? So I want you to think about that for just a moment of what success means to you. And I would love to hear you share with us some ideas about that. What does success mean to you? Anyone?
Success to me actually means a form of wealth, both financially and also mentally. I think that as a society, we're so scared to really equate money with success. But in order to truly function in society, you do have to have a rather healthy experience with money. So for us mentally and materialistically, I think that the form of the amount of money that we have is a form of success, and it is also a personal form of success for myself. But as well as knowing mentally how to manage yourself as a wealthy person, regardless of what your materialistic status is.
Yeah. You know, I think sometimes money gets a bad rap in spiritual circles, like there's something wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, money is just energy. Money is just God in action.
Mm-hmm.
Money is just an exchange of energy, this for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all good. It's all God. Nothing wrong. Yeah. Thank you, Daisica.
Thank you.
Who else?
For me, it's bliss. Just bliss. All the way around. Body, mind, and spirit. Bliss.
Describe what bliss means to you.
It's indescribable.
Mm.
It just feels good.
It just feels good. I got it. Okay, yeah.
Like satisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that just appreciation, satisfaction? Yeah, because so much of our lives we go around dissatisfied. We want like everything to be different than the way that it is. And so we're constantly in dissatisfaction. And when you get to that place where no matter what's going on, it's like you're just loving it and you're just blessed and it's all good. That's pretty successful in my eyes too. Elaine, you were going to say something.
Well, ditto to what Jessica and Joe both have said, but a form of success for me is to feel good about what I'm doing. about using my gifts and talents in the world, and that makes me feel that's a form of success for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because then I feel like I'm spot on, like
Yeah.
I'm right in alignment with the divine, and that I'm going to be guided to the next thing and the next, and that all this other stuff around me is just going to fall into place.
That's
So as
right.
long as I'm in alignment there with the divine, and I'm feeling that fulfilled, successful feeling, then all this seems to just kind of work out.
Yes. Just like being in the flow.
Yeah,
Being in the flow. Being who you came here to be.
that's right.
And just allowing God, allowing life to live you. And yeah, you're going to feel some ease and bliss, and you're going to have what you need, and there's going to be abundance and flow in your life.
Yeah.
You know, it just works that way. Let's hear from one more person. What is success to you? Lala.
For me, it's a combination of a few things, but learning how to be my most creative high self, taking that as far as I can on the creative level, to the point where I'm able to be in a good place monetarily and be able to pay it back and pay it forward. Because I've had people in my life that have helped me out, and I have people in my life that I would love to help out.
Yes.
And so it's a combination of that, and also just in general connecting to my most high self and spirit, and hoping that will touch other people's lives also.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, we're creative beings. We're not going to be fulfilled unless we are like creating at the most magnificent level, because we're all capable of creating in our own unique ways and just beyond what we could even imagine. And is there anything that feels better than having so much and being able to just like give to somebody else? I love that. I love that. In fact, I love being an adult. You know, it's like I remember, you know, and my youth went way long. And, you know, a lot of people did a lot of things for me, you know, picking up the tab and buying me this or buying me that. And it's like, I love being a grown-up now, where I can pick up the tab, where somebody needs something and I can give it to them. I mean, doesn't that just feel awesome? That's success, you know? And being able to pay it back. God, so many people have done so much for me. I'm so grateful. And I hope that I can just give 10 times that in my life to whoever is in need and who comes across my path. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you all so much for sharing that. Beautiful ideas. So however you define success, this month is all about astounding yourself, and by recognizing and aligning with your inner creative power to succeed. Your power to succeed may be dormant, lying there unexpressed like that ancient seed, but it's there, ready to be watered and nurtured so that it can express. So this whole series this month comes with a warning label. Practicing these principles requires something from you. You might even call it work. I love this statement from Master Eckhart, a German mystic. He said, "The seed of God is in us. Given an intelligent and hard-working farmer, it will thrive and grow up to God, whose seed it is. And accordingly, its fruits will be God-natured." Each of us is an intelligent and hardworking farmer, creator, to bring the seeds of God into form. So this reminds me of a salesman who was going through the countryside, and he came upon this just magnificent farm. and there was an old man sitting on the porch, and he was rocking in his chair. And he stopped and he said, you know, this is like the most amazing farm I've ever seen. It's absolutely beautiful. God has done such a great thing here on your farm. And the old farmer snorts and he said, yeah, I suppose so, but you should have seen what it looked like when God had it to himself. We are co-creators. We are God's hands and feet and eyes. And, you know, this God is living through each one of us, expressing. Use me. So much that's my prayer. Use me. God needs us to shine its light, so use me. But we have to roll up our sleeves and do something. It doesn't just, I mean, sometimes it does just magically happen, but usually we got to do something. Or as motivational philosopher Jim Rohn put it perfectly, you cannot hire someone else to do your push-ups for you. God, I wish you could. Right? Now, others can give you a roadmap. We try to give you a roadmap here all the time. And this month we're using Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, as a roadmap. But see, we have to drive the car. We have to be willing. And so the first week, Michael spoke about the foundation of success, that two things were required. The first is to take 100% responsibility for your life. And you all know, as Science of Mind students, that that is like requirement number one. And some people hear that one and they're right at the door asking 100% responsibility. That's not my responsibility. She's to blame, she's to blame, he's to blame. Here we take 100%, or we try to take 100% responsibility for our lives. The second principle is to be clear about why you're here. Get some clarity about that. Why am I here? What am I here to be and do? And so today we're going to look at transforming yourself for success. Because we all could use a little tweaking, right? Psychologist William James once said, the greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing their inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. That's what we teach in a nutshell. But it's radical. It's radical, the implications of that. Ernest Holmes said it this way in his book, Creative Mind and Success. Just as the creative power of the soil receives all the seeds put in it, and all at once begins to work upon them, so mind must receive all thought and at once begin to operate on it. Thus, we find that all thought has power in our life over conditions. We are making environments by the creative power of thought. Talk about creating. Let's just start with our thoughts. Okay? Right there. Stop the thoughts. Now, I know that we're trying to address 64 success principles in Jack Canfield's book, and we're trying to get to as many as possible. But today, I'm only going to talk about one, but it's so rich and fundamental to our teachings that it's worth just focusing on it. And it's principle number 32, which says, transform your inner critic into an inner coach. Yeah, right? Because we have all got an inner critic, and don't you just wish she would shut up? You know, just shut up. You know? So we're gonna learn how to turn that little thing into. Of course, we gotta love it and all that sort of stuff, but we want to turn her into a coach. Okay, so did you know that the average person has over 50,000 thoughts a day? And most of those are to you, about you, and 80% of them are negative. Aren't you glad, like, it doesn't just like create immediately? Or we'd all be in a bunch of trouble. So thoughts like this, see if any of these sort of ring a bell. I shouldn't have said that. They don't like me. I'm never going to be able to pull this off. I don't like the way my hair looks today. Michael can't dance. I can't dance. Just kidding. I'm always late. Just waking you up, honey. I'm never going to get this done. I feel so foolish. And you could probably add a million more to that, right? We've all got our laundry list. With thoughts like these, whatever our specific words are, they begin to control us. Not only do they begin to, I mean, if you think of a lemon right now, you'll start salivating, right? So these thoughts can actually break you out into a sweat, give you the jitters, blush, stammer, taken to the extreme, they could even kill us. And there's an example in Canfield's book about a guy whose name is Nick Seisman. He was a strong, healthy, ambitious, young railroad yardman. And one summer day, the train crews were informed that they could quit an hour early in honor of the birthday of the foreman. So while performing his very last check on the railroad cars, Nick was accidentally locked into a refrigerator boxcar. And when he realized that the rest of the workmen had left, he began to panic. He banged his fists against the walls until they were bloody. With his knowledge of the facts, he predicted that the temperature in the car to be 0 degrees. He thought, if I can't get out, I'll die. So he got out his knife and started writing some notes to his family on the floor. It's so cold, my body's getting numb. If I could just go to sleep, these may be my last words. And the next morning, the crew slid open those heavy doors of that boxcar and found Nick dead. And an autopsy revealed every sign that he had frozen to death. But here's the catch. The refrigeration in the unit of that car wasn't working properly, and the temperature was only 55 degrees. Now that's chilly, but it's not cold enough to kill him. He had actually killed himself by the power of his thoughts. It's a true story. Now, I'm knowing that none of us will ever have to experience such a dramatic demonstration of the power of our thoughts, but we can certainly, I mean, if that can happen, we can certainly kill our dreams and our successes little by little, day by day, by all these negative, limiting, unloving thoughts. Thoughts create form, okay? Our thoughts create a form into which the creative substance known as God's energy is poured into it. This is like pouring water into an ice cube tray. The water is frozen, out comes the cube in the exact form and the exact form of the form that it was poured into. And it's the same way. The creative substance, this energy of God, has no other choice but to take on the form of what we're thinking, of what our thoughts are. Yogananda, who was the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship, said that since you are alone responsible for your thoughts, only you can change them. And you will want to change them when you realize that each thought creates according to its own nature. Remember that the law works at all times and that you are always demonstrating according to the kinds of thoughts that you habitually entertain. See, thank God for that habitually part, because it's like everything was just manifesting. You know, it'd be pretty confusing. Therefore, start now to think only those thoughts that will bring you health and happiness. So what if you learned to pour your thoughts into the mold of success? What if you could transform your negative self-talk into positive self-talk? What if you could silence your thoughts about lack and limitation and replace them with thoughts of unlimited potential? And what if you could replace any victim language in your thoughts with the language of empowerment? And what if you could transform your inner critic who judges your every move into a supportive inner coach who would encourage you, give you confidence as you face every situation? Remember that voice that loves you that we talked about? That's your inner coach. Let's cultivate that. All of that can happen. All of that can happen. The question is how? So here's maybe a new way to look at it. Psychiatrist David Amen has named limiting thoughts that we hear in our heads ants. A-N-T-S. If you're at a picnic and there's a bunch of ants, they can ruin your life. We got a bunch we can't get rid of in our kitchen. They're driving us crazy. So you need to stomp the ants by doing three things. One, first you've got to be aware of them. Second, you've got to challenge them, question them, challenge them. And finally, replacing them with more supportive and affirming thoughts. So becoming aware of them, you've got to get off automatic pilot. You know, the conditioning that we all had, those tapes will just run and we'll just, we can just program it and it'll just go. Wake up. Get off automatic pilot. Just like there's different kinds of ants and critters in the world, there's different types of ants, automatic negative thoughts in your head. So to help you recognize them, here's some. Always, never thinking. Always, never, right? I never hit a break. She is always so rude. My boss never listens to me. I'm never going to get that raise. I'm the one to always get the short end of the stick. Focusing only on the negative in the situation. Catastrophic predicting. Mind reading, making assumptions, which are usually negative, right? And labeling ourselves or others. Our weekly invitation. This is where we give you an activity to take into the week to help lock in what we're teaching this Sunday. So if any of those sounded familiar, I want you to take 3 days out of this next week, maybe a couple work days and 1 weekend day or something, and walk around with a notepad and just write down every negative thought that you have. or you can ask a spouse, a partner, a child, a roommate, a colleague to catch you and impose a $1 fine every time they hear you uttering a negative thought. If you can enroll someone in this, it's a lot easier. Okay, so how many of you are going to walk around with a notepad for 3 days and write down every negative thought? Okay, raise those hands high. Okay, this is called commitment. Okay, how many of you are going to ask somebody to catch you and charge you $1 every time you say a negative thought out loud? Okay, oh, good, good. And how many of you are going to do both? That's what I thought. All right, excellent, good. All right, the second thing is to challenge these thoughts. I love this. Now that you've become aware of these thoughts, you can challenge them. Is it really true that your boss never listens to you? That you never get a break? That a certain person is always rude to you? If you can even find one time where that's not true, that whole thing starts to fall apart. You challenge it, you question it, and then in the middle of it, where can you find the kernel of good? You know, we have these, what I call BOPs, beliefs, opinions, and points of view, and we are so committed to it, and they're made us miserable. We suffer, And all you got to do is kind of turn the mind on itself and challenge it. Well, is that true? Yeah. Can you absolutely know for sure it's true? Well, no. Okay, see, it starts to kind of loosen up that position. And that whole thing starts to fall apart a little bit. So challenge these thoughts. Is your prediction of the worst thing happening really likely? What are other possible predictions? I'm sure if I ask for a raise, I won't get one. How will you know? Maybe you could ask and see. Maybe you would. Is that assumption you're making really true? I know she hasn't called me back because she's mad at me. What could other reasons be? Challenge your assumptions. Is that label you put on yourself or another really the whole truth? I'm so stupid. Find a time when you weren't. There goes that one out the window. Okay? Now, challenge your thoughts. Remember, don't believe everything you hear, especially if it comes from your own head. And, you know, Chuck Pyle, the Zen cowboy, always said, yeah, my head's like a bad neighborhood you just don't want to go into. You know? And I love what Byron Katie says. She says, don't believe everything you think. In fact, I would question just about all of it. The third thing is replacing them with supporting affirmative thoughts. And this is a great little tool. It's a powerful exercise, and it goes like this. Stop, drop, and roll. Everybody say that. Stop, drop, and roll. Okay, so you stop the thought, mid-thought, stop, drop the thought intentionally, consciously drop the thought and say to yourself, I am forever dropping that thought. Say that. I am forever dropping that thought. And then roll the thought, which is to consciously roll it into its opposite. If you're thinking I'll never succeed at this, consciously roll that into I'm so excited to see how I succeed at this. If an ant runs in and says, how are you possibly going to do that? You say, I only need to know what. God knows how. We like that one around here. Now, do you get my drift, what it means to stop, drop, and roll?
Yes.
Okay. Say, I am committed to stop, drop, and roll.
I am committed to stop, drop, and roll.
When I have a negative thought.
When I have a negative thought.
Okay, good. I feel better now. I'm going to end with a quote from Ernest Holmes from Creative Mind and Success. In the final analysis, we are just what we think ourselves to be. That's what Buddha said. We are big in capacity if we think big thoughts, and we are small if we think small thoughts. We will attract to ourselves what we think about most of the time. We can learn to govern our own destiny when we learn to control our thoughts. This is so easy to understand and so plain as to use that we often wonder why we have been so long finding out this, the greatest truth of the ages. Believing, thinking what is believed to be true, thinking into mind each day that which is wished to be returned, eliminating negative thoughts, thinking positive thoughts, giving thanks to the Spirit, giving thanks to the Spirit, never arguing with oneself or with others. These are the steps that, when followed, will bring us where we shall not ask if it be true. For having demonstrated it, we will know. And so it is.
And so it is.